Hi, welcome to this short briefing. We are going to speak about new chart names for PBN approaches. You may have heard that ICAO selected a new naming convention for performance-based navigation instrument approaches. The generic chart title changes from RNAV to RNP. As an example, the charts for Toulouse-Blagnac changed in last September from RNAV GNSS 14 right to RNP 14 right. But all the countries will not apply this change. Particularly, the United States and Canada decided to keep the current system for chart naming. This decision is based on a limited operational benefit compared to the large number of PBN approaches already published that will need to be revised. Other countries are currently changing from one system to the other. Therefore, you will encounter both chart names for the same operation, RNAV and RNP. But under the generic chart title, there are still several kinds of PBN approaches with significant operational differences. To identify the type of PBN approach, the flight crew needs to check some additional chart information in addition to the title. Initially, the name of the instrument approach directly indicated the technology used, ILS, VOR, or NDB. Therefore, one chart was published per approach type for each individual runway. The situation was simple. This started to change several years ago on two different aspects. Suffix letters has been created when several approach variations on the same type had to be published for the same runway. And new type of approaches has been introduced based on GPS or augmented GPS and progressively replaced conventional approaches. First, let's talk about the suffix letters, typically X-ray, Yankee, or Zulu. Suffixes address multiple variants of the same approach type and for the same runway. Those variants may correspond to critical items, such as lateral or vertical trajectories or other items of less importance. There is no easy solution for the crew to determine what precisely differs between two variants, meaning between Yankee or Zulu. Therefore, each single approach published with a suffix letter must be considered as one specific approach. Consequently, the suffix letters belong to the official approach title. The suffix is indicated on the chart, on the FMS pages, on the ND, and are used for each communication with air traffic control. With the new PBN approaches, the procedure designers have developed an additional use of the suffix letters. They may also identify various types of PBN approaches. Indeed, there are various types of PBN approaches, standardized by a navigation specification. For PBN instrument approach charts, the generic names RNAV or RNP may be used as chart titles, but nav specs themselves have a specific name. The two ICAO nav specs for PBN approaches are RNP APCH and RNP AR APCH. RNP APCH can address two different families of minima, LPV or LP and LNAV-VNAV or LNAV. RNP AR APCH, AR stands for authorization required. In this case, the minima are always charted RNP followed by a given value. So, minima have a significant operational impact, even when belonging to the same ICAO nav spec and sometimes published on the same chart. LPV or LP minima require SBAS augmentation associated with the SLS function. LNAV-VNAV or LNAV minima can be flown using FLS function on aircraft equipped with FLS option or final APP for other aircraft. And RNP 0XX minima correspond to RNP-AR operation and requires specific approval for both the aircraft and the crew and operator. Thus, the minima section on the chart clearly determines the PBN approach variant. The selection of the minima depends on the aircraft configuration and/or on the crew operator capability. An approval may be required for the PBN approach. Now, let's go back on the chart. Initially, a single title RNAV covers both ICAO PBN approach nav specs, but was associated with a parenthesis RNAV GNSS or GPS for RNP APCH, RNAV RNP for RNP AR APCH. However, the official title is only RNAV. When both RNAV GNSS and RNAV RNP procedures exist for the same runway, separate charts are necessary, and the difference is made by a suffix letter. Contrary to the parenthesis, the suffix letter is part of the official title and part of the corresponding ATC phraseology. As an example, ATC may clear the crew for RNAV 04 right Zulu or RNAV 04 right Yankee. Published minima must always be checked to confirm the precise type of approach, RNPR or RNP APCH. With the new ICAO naming, a single title, RNP, instead of RNAV, covers both ICAO PBN approach nav specs. And the parenthesis AR is added for the RNP AR APCH nav spec. RNAV GNSS becomes RNP, RNAV RNP becomes RNP AR. Based on the previous example, ATC will now clear the crew for RNP 04 right Zulu or RNP 04 right Yankee. Published minima must also be checked to confirm the precise type of approach. So, pilots will face charts with RNAV and RNP approach titles, sometimes on the same flight. But this reflects only the family of PBN approaches. Phraseology is in accordance with published denomination, so RNAV or RNP, with a suffix letter if any. No change is currently planned for avionics design, and such change would take a long time to be retrofitted in the existing aircraft fleet. And this is the minima that enables to identify the type of approach. So to conclude, you should consider RNAV and RNP as means for communication with ATC, but not as an indication of the specific type of PBN approach. The flight crew can expect ATC controllers to use the same term as indicated on the chart. The flight crew should also be ready for possible errors between RNAV and RNP. FMS and avionics will generally display RNAV or RNV, while charts and ATC can use RNP. Secondly, you should clearly identify the suffix letter, X-ray, Yankee, Zulu, if any. The suffix letter may correspond to a specific trajectory, nav spec, or type of minima. When a suffix letter exists, it will be part of ATC phraseology, chart title, and FMS and ND display. Finally, you should carefully check the type of minima on the chart. Check the adequacy between the selected minima and aircraft certified capability, operator, and crew approval. You can find the following types of minima on an RNAV or RNP approach chart. LPV or LP, which requires an aircraft equipped with a certified SBAS landing capability. On Airbus aircraft, it corresponds to the SLS function, available as an option on A350 and soon available as an option on other Airbus aircraft. LNAV-VNAV or LNAV is a default type which is applicable to all Airbus aircraft. And finally, RNP01 or 03 or any other value corresponds to the specific RNPR function and certification, which is basic on S350 and optional on the other types. RNPR requires specific approval for the crew and the operator. I hope you enjoyed this briefing on the new chart names for PBN approaches, and I'll see you around for the next one.